Highway 101 stretched out before me, a gray ribbon of concrete flickering with the lights of San Jose, as if the city were whispering that it never sleeps. It was 8 p.m., but traffic was still sluggish, trucks and SUVs jostling like they were reminding me that Silicon Valley never slows down, even when I just want to get home. 8 years ago, I'd promised Claire we'd conquer this world. A sleek apartment in San Jose, a solid career, and maybe someday a little family. But tonight, after 3 days of work in Seattle, all I wanted was to see her smile, to hear her nag about me leaving my suitcase in the middle of the living room. My arms ached after 4 hours of driving from the airport, and the gas needle on my Honda Accord was kissing the red line. I glanced at my phone. No messages from Claire. She'd said she'd be home, making my favorite pasta carbonara. Don't call ahead, Caleb, I told myself, smiling at the thought of surprising her. I pictured her in the kitchen, hair tied up, muttering about how I'm always working away from home. I pulled off into a Chevron station at the Livermore exit, about 12 miles from home. The smell of gasoline mixed with the cool California evening air and the neon glow of the sign made me squint. I filled the tank, leaning against the car, scrolling through Twitter to kill time. A tweet from my coworker Jake popped up. Silicon Valley, where tech dreams live and love dies from OT. I snorted. Jake always joked about work devouring our personal lives, but I didn't think much of it. Claire and we'd made it through the tough years. Nights I stayed up debugging code. Mornings she left early for client meetings. We were fine, weren't we? I paid for the gas, and as I did, a blue Lexus SUV glided through the intersection ahead of the station, streetlights catching its glossy paint. My heart stopped. It was Claire's car, the Lexus RX we'd bought 2 years ago when she got promoted at her marketing firm. The license plate, the little cat sticker on the back window. No mistaking it. But what was she doing here, over 10 miles from home, at this hour? She said she was home, in our apartment, with pasta and a glass of wine. I shook my head, telling myself I was imagining things. Livermore wasn't some strange place. She could be running errands, grabbing something from Whole Foods, or meeting a friend. But a heavy feeling crept into my chest, like someone had dumped a bucket of ice water on me. I climbed back into the car, started the engine, and drove in the direction the SUV had gone. Traffic at the intersection was slow, the red light dragging on like it was mocking my patience. I strained to see ahead, but the car was gone. I grabbed my phone and dialed Claire. It rang 4 times, each chime like a hammer chipping away at my calm. Finally, she picked up, her voice slightly breathless, like she'd just run a sprint. "Hey," she said, her tone off, like she was hiding something. "Hey," I replied, keeping my voice steady. "What are you up to?" A moment of silence, small but noticeable. "Oh, I was just about to call you. I, just ran a quick errand." I frowned, my grip tightening on the steering wheel. "Errand? Where?" Just grabbing some stuff," she said, her voice faltering. "Why? Where are you?" "Meeting in Seattle wrapped early," I said, eyes fixed on the road ahead. "I'm on my way home. About 15 minutes out." Claire's voice suddenly perked up, but I caught a hint of panic. "Really? That's great. When did you get back?" I glanced at the clock. "Landed a few hours ago." "Where are you headed?" Another pause. "Oh, just a store near the house." My blood ran cold. The store near the house? Our apartment was in downtown San Jose, near Santana Row, with a Whole Foods just a few blocks away. No way she'd drive all the way to Livermore for groceries. I looked at the road ahead, where the blue SUV had vanished. It was her car, I was sure of it. But I didn't say anything, not wanting her to know what I was thinking. "Cool," I said, my voice light in a way that surprised even me. "I'll see you at home. How's the pasta coming?" It's coming along," she replied, and I heard the hum of a car engine through the phone. She was driving, not at home. I hung up, my hand trembling slightly. A cold sensation slithered down my spine, like I had just seen a crack in the perfect wall of our marriage. I thought about the early days, when Claire and I met at a bar in Palo Alto, her in a fiery red dress, laughing like the world was ours. We'd built this life together, The apartment with big windows overlooking the city, vacations in Santa Barbara, vague plans for a kid. But now, as streetlights streaked across the windshield, I couldn't shake the thought that it was all a lie. In the days that followed, I lived like a hunter, but the prey was a truth I wasn't sure I wanted to face. Our apartment in San Jose, once a place of safety, now felt like a stage where Claire played the perfect wife, and I was the only audience, naive and blind. I started noticing small things. The way she locked her phone faster than usual, the forced smile when I asked about her day. Every move she made was now under a microscope, like I was a coder hunting for bugs in a million lines of code. I didn't want to believe Claire could betray me, but the glimpse of her Lexus in Livermore haunted me like a shadow. I started checking things I never thought I'd touch. One night, while she was in the shower, I grabbed her phone, my heart pounding like a thief's. The password was still my birthday, a small detail that made me hesitate. I scrolled through her text emails, but found nothing but harmless chats with coworkers and friends. No strange names, no shady messages. I set the phone down, guilt burning in my stomach like acid. What was I doing? Turning into some paranoid guy, doubting my wife over one siding of her car in the wrong place? But then I remembered her breathless voice on the phone, the way she stumbled when I asked where she was. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. I opened my laptop, logged into our shared account to check the GPS on the Lexus. The insurance company had installed a tracking app last year, and I never thought I'd use it. The data showed the car had been in Livermore 3 times in the past 2 weeks, always in the afternoon, when Claire said she was at the office. The specific address was a residential street, 1427 Oak Grove Lane. I looked it up on Zillow and found a modern house, valued at $2 million. Not the kind of place you'd stop by for errands. I needed confirmation. On Friday, I told Claire I had to stay late at the office for an urgent project. She nodded, smiled, and said she'd order food from our favorite Thai place. "Don't work too hard, Caleb," she said, resting a hand on my shoulder, her eyes soft as always. But I no longer saw warmth, just a veil hiding something. I left the office early, driving to Livermore, my heart heavy as lead. Oak Grove Lane was quiet, lined with neatly trimmed lawns and modern homes. I slowed down, scanning each driveway, and then I saw it. Claire's Lexus, parked neatly next to a shiny black Ram pickup. The house behind it was a block of glass and steel, almost alien in this quaint neighborhood. I pulled over a few houses down, my hands gripping the steering wheel, my breathing shallow. No doubt now, Claire wasn't at the office. She was here in someone else's house. I grabbed my phone, snapped a few photos of the car, the sunset glinting off the windows, blinding me. Then I dug deeper into the address. The owner was Robert Callahan, 50, co-owner of a real estate firm that had contracts with Claire's marketing company. A quick LinkedIn search showed Robert went to UC Berkeley at the same time as Claire. My heart sank. This wasn't a stranger. They had history. I drove off, my mind spinning. Images of Claire and Robert played like a bad movie. Them laughing in a college coffee shop, sharing secrets I'd never know. I remembered a time, years ago, when Claire mentioned Rob, an ex she'd split with because he was too ambitious. I'd laughed it off, thinking it was harmless history. Now, that history was parked next to my wife. I stopped at a small coffee shop in Livermore, the bitter scent of espresso snapping me awake. I called Jake, the only friend I trusted enough to share this with. "Meet me at Rusty's bar, 5 minutes," I said, my voice hoarse from holding it together. Jake showed up, still in his Ratty Star t-shirt, hair a mess as always. "What's up, man? You look like you just saw a ghost," he said, ordering an IPA. I told him everything, from the car in Livermore to the GPS data and Robert Callahan. Jake raised an eyebrow, less surprised than I'd hoped. "I told you," he said, his voice flat. At her company's Christmas party, Claire was hovering around some older guy, all dressed up. I thought he was a client, but something felt off. I stared at my beer, feeling like I'd been punched in the chest. Jake had seen the signs, and I hadn't. "What are you going to do?" Jake asked, tapping his fingers on the table. I didn't answer right away. Part of me wanted to kick down Robert's door, drag Claire out, and demand answers. But another part, deeper, knew that would only make me look pathetic. I need hard proof, I said finally, and then I'm done. That night, lying on the couch in our apartment, I couldn't sleep. Claire came home late, carrying bags from the Thai place, smiling like everything was normal. Pad Thai for you, she said, setting the bags on the dining table. I nodded, pretending to focus on my laptop, but my eyes didn't leave her. The way she moved, the way she avoided looking directly at me, it was all like an unspoken confession. I thought about the time she complained I worked too much, that I didn't listen to her anymore. Was that why? Or just an excuse to fall into Robert's arms? The next morning, I decided to go back to Oak Grove Lane. I parked in a secluded spot, a few hundred yards from the house, and waited. At 4:30 p.m., Claire's Lexus pulled up, gliding into the driveway like it was routine. Robert stepped out, wearing a white dress shirt, salt and pepper hair, the confident air of a man who knows he has it all. Claire got out, her dress hugging her frame, her smile radiant in a way I thought was only for me. They disappeared into the house, the door closing behind them. I didn't feel anger anymore, just a cold void. I snapped a few more photos, then drove back, my mind blank. Claire wasn't just lying. She was living another life, one without me. I knew I couldn't keep pretending. But I also knew, if I confronted her now, I needed more than photos and GPS data. I needed her to admit it, or at least not be able to deny it. I'd wait, but not for long. The truth was right in front of me, and I wouldn't let it slip away. The sunset painted Oak Grove Lane red, making the large glass windows of Robert Callahan's house shimmer like a challenge. I parked 2 houses down, my hand shaking as I turned off the engine, my breath ragged like I'd just run a mile. In my head, the image of Claire stepping out her Lexus, smiling brightly for a man who wasn't me, played on a loop like a stuck video. 8 years of marriage, vows on a Santa Barbara beach, all now just a cruel joke. I couldn't wait any longer. Tonight, I confront her. I stepped out of the car, my sneakers scraping the sidewalk, the sound small but sharp in the quiet neighborhood air. Robert's house looked like a modern fortress, with clean lines and curtainless windows, as if it had nothing to hide. But I knew the truth was lurking behind that door. I took a deep breath, the smell of fresh-cut grass mixing with the adrenaline burning in my veins. I didn't knock right away. I stood there, peering through the window, seeing Claire's silhouette moving in the living room. She was laughing, holding a glass of red wine, her eyes sparkling like they used to when she looked at me in the early days. I knocked on the door, 3 sharp, deliberate raps. The laughter inside stopped. A long pause, then hurried footsteps. The door swung open, and Claire stood there, her face pale, eyes wide like she'd seen a ghost. "Caleb?" Her voice cracked, the wine glass nearly slipping from her hand. Behind her, Robert appeared, his white shirt unbuttoned at the top, his confident demeanor now a thin veneer. "Hi, Claire," I said, my voice low but sharp as a blade. "Not at the store today?" She stepped back, her lips moving but no words coming out. Robert moved forward, placing a hand on her shoulder, like he was protecting her. "Who are you?" he asked, his tone deep but wary. I let out a dry laugh, no humor in it. "I'm her husband. And you, Robert Callahan, who are you in this story?" Claire blinked, tears rolling down her cheeks. "Caleb, I can explain." She stepped toward me, reaching out, but I stepped back, keeping my distance. "Explain." I cut her off, my eyes locked on hers. "Explain why you're here, in this guy's house, instead of at the office like you said, or why you're smiling at him the way you used to smile at me." "It's not what you think," Claire said, her voice trembling. I felt lost, Caleb. You're always busy, always at the office or on work trips. I needed someone to listen." My blood surged, but I held back, refusing to let my anger explode. "So you chose him?" I pointed at Robert, who stood silent, his face tense. "A guy you dated in college, back to fill the void? How convenient." Robert spoke up, his voice calm but defensive. Look, I don't want trouble. Claire and I are just friends, reconnecting after years. Friends. I turned to him, my voice ice cold. Friends don't park next to someone else's wife 3 times a week. Friends don't share wine in a house at sunset. Claire sobbed, covering her face with her hands. Caleb, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I messed up. I looked at her, the woman I once thought was my entire world. Her hair was disheveled, mascara streaking her cheeks. But I felt no pity, just an emptiness where love used to be. 8 years, Claire, I said, my voice flat. 8 years, and this is how you end it. I'm done. I turned and walked out, ignoring Claire's calls. Caleb, wait. Please, honey. But I didn't stop. Each step felt like tearing away a piece of memory. Lazy weekend mornings at Santana Row. Fights we'd made up after. Plans for a future now reduced to ash. I drove to Rusty's bar in Livermore, where I'd met Jake a few days earlier. The bar was busier tonight. Country music blaring from the speakers, the smell of old wood and beer hanging in the air. I ordered a whiskey, the strongest they had, and sat in a dark corner. Jake showed up soon after, like he had a radar for when I needed someone. You look like you just fought the world, he said, pulling up a chair across from me. I saw Claire, I said, taking a sip of whiskey, the burn sharpening my senses. At that guy's house. She didn't deny it, Jake. Just apologize like that changes anything. Jake shook his head, tapping his fingers on the table. You gonna forgive her? No, I said instantly, my voice firm as steel. I can't live with someone who, every time I look at her, I see lies. I'm moving out, letting the lawyers handle the rest. Jake nodded, no judgment. You're stronger than I thought. But don't let this eat you alive. You deserve better. I didn't reply, just stared at my whiskey, the dim light glinting off the glass. When I left the bar, the sky was pitch black, stars twinkling over Livermore like a reminder that the world kept spinning, even as my heart shattered. I booked a room at the Holiday Inn nearby, tossing my bag onto the bed and collapsing, my mind blank. My phone buzzed incessantly. Text from Claire, dozens of apologies. I love you messages that now felt like salt in the wound. Caleb, please talk to me. I don't want to lose you. I read one, then deleted them all, not responding. I didn't want to hear excuses. I just wanted to cut the cord, tying me to her. That night, on the stiff hotel bed, I thought about our early days. Once, in Santa Barbara, Claire had held my hand on the beach, saying she wanted to grow old with me, even if I turned into a gray-haired, nerdy engineer. I'd laughed, promising we'd buy a little ranch when we retired, where we'd raise horses and slow down. Now, that dream was just a reminder of what I'd lost. But in that loss, I felt a new resolve. I wouldn't let Claire or anyone define me anymore. This marriage was dead, and I'd bury it, no matter how much it hurt. Morning light filtered through the Holiday Inn's curtains, casting a gray pallor over the room. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling like my body had gained 50 pounds after last night's confrontation. The image of Claire at Robert's door, tears streaming down her face, clung to my mind. But it wasn't pain, it was an emptiness, like I'd left a piece of my soul on Oak Grove Lane. My phone had been buzzing all night, the screen lighting up with Claire's messages. Please, Caleb, talk to me. I know I messed up, but I need you. I didn't read them all. Just skimmed and tossed the phone to the foot of the bed. Her apologies meant nothing anymore. I got up, brewed a cup of coffee from the cheap machine in the room, wincing at the burnt plastic smell. It was Saturday, but I had no plans to go back to the San Jose apartment. I called a lawyer right after leaving the bar last night, a friend of Jake's named Mark, who promised to handle the divorce as fast as possible. You need to be firm, Mark had said over the phone, his voice steady. Don't let emotions pull you back. I nodded, though he couldn't see, and felt a spark of resolve flare up. I wouldn't let Claire or anyone sway me, but the world outside seemed to disagree. First came Linda, Claire's mom, calling at noon. I hesitated, my finger hovering over the decline button, but I picked up Caleb. Her voice trembled, like she'd been crying all night. Why are you doing this to Claire? She's falling apart. She says you won't give her a chance to explain. I gripped the phone, forcing my voice to stay calm. Linda, she made her choice. I caught her at another man's house. Not the first time. I've got nothing left to say to her. She sighed, the sound heavy through the speaker. Marriage isn't always easy, Caleb. She loves you. She made a mistake, but you can't just throw it all away like this. Throw it away? I nearly shouted, but held back. She threw me away first. Linda. 8 years, and she chose an old boyfriend. I'm not the one who broke this marriage. She went quiet, then said softly, she's not eating. If you just talk to her, maybe... I cut her off. I'm not her therapist. I'm sorry, Linda, but I'm done. I hung up, my heart pounding, feeling like I'd just run through a field of thorns. But the pressure didn't stop there. That evening, I got a text from Sarah, Claire's sister, who never liked me. Caleb, you're such a jerk. Claire's a mess, and you're hiding in a hotel like a coward. Meet my sister, at least let her apologize. I deleted the text, but the words echoed. Coward? I'd faced Claire in that guy's house, looked her in the eye as she admitted her mistake. I didn't owe anyone an explanation. On Monday, I went back to the office in Palo Alto, trying to bury myself in work. But the gossip had spread fast. A co-worker, Lisa, pulled me aside in the break room. I heard about you and Claire, she whispered, her eyes full of pity. Are you sure you don't want to see her? She's in bad shape, Caleb. My friend at her company says she's barely showing up to work. I shrugged, pretending to focus on my coffee. She made her choice, Lisa. I can't fix what she broke. Lisa frowned, like I'd said something absurd. But that's what marriage is, Caleb. Everyone makes mistakes. Can't you give her a chance? I left the break room without answering, feeling like the whole world was trying to push me back to Claire, as if my self-respect meant nothing. That night, I called my mom, the only person I knew wouldn't judge. Mom, I said, my voice rough as I sat in my car, watching Palo Alto's lights flicker through the windshield. I'm not crazy for doing this, right? For walking away? She sighed, her voice warm but firm. Sweetie, you deserve respect. If she couldn't give you that, you don't owe her anything. Do what you need to protect your heart. Her words were like medicine, but the pressure kept coming. The next weekend, I got dragged to a party at a mutual friend's house, Tom, in Menlo Park. I didn't want to go, but Jake convinced me I needed to chill out. Big mistake. Amid the cocktails and laughter, I felt everyone's eyes on me. One of Claire's friends, Emily, pulled me onto the balcony, her voice sharp. You're really divorcing her over one mistake? Claire loves you, Caleb. She's struggling to make this right. I looked out at the dark garden, the trees swaying in the breeze. Mistake? She didn't just slip up, Emily. She had a whole other life with another guy while I thought we were fine. Emily shook her head. You're too rigid. Marriage is about forgiveness. I turned away, done with the conversation. Forgiveness? I could forgive a harsh word, a fight, but not Claire choosing someone else, not her looking me in the eye and lying without blinking. In the days that followed, I cut off all contact with Claire. I moved to a temporary apartment in Livermore, a small place, but enough for me to breathe. Claire sent handwritten letters to my office, pages filled with apologies. Caleb, I don't expect you to forgive me right away, but I need you to know I love you. I was lost, felt lonely, and Robert was a stupid mistake. Please let me fix this. I read a few lines, then folded the letter and tossed it in the trash. Her words only reminded me of the times I believed her, thought we were invincible. Mark, my lawyer, called at the end of the week. You want to push the divorce through fast? I can wrap it up in a month. Do it, I said, staring out the apartment window, where streetlights cast faint glows. I want this over. That night, I dreamed of Claire, not the Claire now, but the Claire from 8 years ago, standing on the Santa Barbara beach, her white dress fluttering in the wind. She held my hand, saying we'd be together forever. When I woke, I didn't cry, I just felt a cold resolve. Claire could keep her apologies. I was taking my life back, no matter the cost. The temporary apartment in Livermore had become a cage, small but stifling. The beige walls, the musty carpet smell, and the hum of the air conditioner made me feel like I was living in a faded copy of myself. I cut contact with Claire for 3 weeks, but her text still came, no longer pleas but short updates. I went to therapy today. I'm trying, Caleb. I didn't respond, not out of anger, but because I was tired of letting her pull me into her emotional spiral. I needed out not just from Claire, but from Silicon Valley, where every street corner, every coffee shop, reminded me of a life I thought would last forever. Mark, my lawyer, called on a Wednesday morning, his voice sharp over phone. Caleb, we've got an offer from Callahan's side. I was sitting in a small faux shop in Dublin, a steaming bowl of broth in front of me, but I pushed it aside, focusing. What does he want? 200 grand, Mark said, no nonsense. He wants you to drop all claims. No lawsuits, no publicizing this. He's calling it a settlement agreement. I laughed dryly, the sound echoing in the nearly empty faux shop. Settlement? He slept with my wife, Mark. He thinks money's going to erase that. Mark sighed. I know, but listen, you could drag this out in court, but it'll cost time, money, and your sanity. Take the cash, end it, and move on. You deserve that. I went quiet, watching condensation drip on my iced tea glass. 200,000 wasn't chump change. Enough to start over, leave this tech trap, where people live for code and lies. But taking Robert's money felt like selling my pain, like 8 years of marriage could be priced with a check. I'll think about it, I said, then hung up. That night, I sat in the apartment, opened my laptop, and searched for land in Oregon. Willamette Valley popped up with images of sprawling wheat fields, rustic wooden houses, and horses galloping under sunsets. I remembered the dream I'd shared with Claire about living on a ranch someday, far from Silicon Valley's relentless pace. Now that dream was just mine, but it wasn't faded. It was more vivid than ever. The next day, I met Mark at his office in San Jose, a glass building with startup billboards lining the halls. Robert didn't show. He sent his lawyer, a middle-aged guy in an expensive suit, to handle it. Mr. Callahan wants to resolve this quickly, the lawyer said, sliding a stack of papers across the table. Sign here, and the money's yours within 48 hours. I skimmed the agreement, the numbers and legal jargon cold as a software contract. Did he say anything? I asked, my voice flat, about why he thinks this money's enough to fix what he broke. The lawyer shrugged, avoiding my eyes. Mr. Callahan just wants to end the mess. He says it's personal, not business. I signed, not for the money, but because I wanted closure. I didn't want to drag out a fight I'd already won, not by keeping Claire, but by keeping myself. When I left the office, I felt lighter, like I'd shed invisible handcuffs. Mark called after me as I reached my car. You okay, Caleb? This isn't easy for anyone. Fine, I said, looking at San Jose's gray sky, clouds hanging low like they wanted to crush the city. I just want out of here. The next week, Claire sent a long text saying she cut contact with Robert and was in therapy. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I want you to know I'm trying to be better. I still love you, Caleb. I read it, then deleted it, not out of anger, but because there was no room for her in my life anymore. Her love was just a memory, and I didn't live in the past. The divorce went faster than I expected. Mark worked efficiently, and Claire, maybe out of exhaustion, signed the papers without a fight. One afternoon, I got an email from him. Congrats, Caleb. You're free. I sat in the apartment, reading those words over and over, feeling like I just walked out of a room locked for 8 years. But freedom came with a void, not pain, but the absence of a future I'd once pictured. I opened my laptop again, pulling up a small ranch in Willamette Valley I bookmarked. A 2-bedroom wooden house, an old barn and 10 acres, priced just right with Robert's money. I called a realtor that night, my voice steadier than I felt. I want to buy, I said, and when I hung up, I felt a small spark in my chest, the first in months. Before leaving Livermore, I grabbed a box from the old San Jose apartment, leaving most of my stuff for Claire. Inside were things I couldn't leave behind. A silver ring my mom gave me when I graduated college, a notebook of startup ideas I'd scribbled, an old photo of me and Claire in Santa Barbara, taken right after we got engaged. I looked at the photo, Claire beaming by the ocean, her hair blowing in the wind. I didn't tear it up or throw it away. I folded it and tucked it at the bottom of the box. It wasn't forgiveness, just a way to let go. The wheat fields of Willamette Valley stretched out before my porch, shimmering under the dawn, as if the sun were painting golden streaks on every blade of grass. The wooden house I bought 2 months ago still smelled of old paint and damp wood, but every morning I woke up, I felt something Silicon Valley never gave me: stillness. No Highway 101 horns, no midnight emergency emails, no lies hidden behind Claire's smile. Here, it was just me, the land, and a few chickens clucking in their coop. I stood on the porch, a steaming mug of coffee in hand, Oregon's chill seeping through my flannel jacket. These 10 acres were all I had, along with a rickety barn and a flock of chickens I was still learning to care for. My first day here, I'd panic when a chicken escaped, chasing through the field and falling face first into the mud. But now, I was starting to get the rhythm of this place. Wake at sunrise, feed the chickens, fix the fence, and let the sweat wash away memories that no longer belonged to me. My neighbor, Maggie, helped me settle in. She was about 60, silver hair tied back, living alone on the ranch next door with 3 horses and a herd of goats. The day I moved in, she brought over a plate of homemade oatmeal cookies, her eyes twinkling like she could see right through my story. "You look like someone running from something," she said, her voice warm. I smiled, not denying it. "Just need a fresh start," I replied, and she nodded, like she knew sometimes a piece of land can heal what a city broke. Maggie taught me how to feed horses, how to tell when the soil needed water, and how to keep the past from weighing down the present. One afternoon, as we fixed a stretch of fence together, she told me about her husband, who left her 20 years ago for another woman. I cried. I raged, but then I realized, she said, hammering a post into the ground, "This life is mine, not his. You'll find that too, Caleb." I didn't respond, but her words were like a breeze through my mind, clearing some of the fog left behind. Claire still tried to reach me. A week ago, my phone buzzed with an unfamiliar number, and I knew it was Linda, her mom. "Caleb," she said, her voice thick with tears. "Claire's in a recovery center. She's not okay. Not eating, not sleeping. The doctors say it's severe depression. Can you just talk to her?" I stood outside my barn, watching a horse graze, and felt an odd calm. "Linda," I said slowly, "I'm sorry Claire's hurting, but she chose her path. I can't fix what she broke." She cried over the phone, but I didn't waver. "She still loves you," she whispered, like that was enough to pull me back. I shook my head, though she couldn't see. "Love's not enough, Linda, not when it comes with betrayal." I hung up, and this time I blocked her number, not out of anger, but because I needed boundaries, a fence stronger than any I was mending. I started journaling, not to document my life, but to say goodbye to the past. One night, by the fireplace, I wrote a letter to Claire, never meaning to send it. "Claire, you were my dream, but that dream's broken. I don't hate you, but I can't let you hold me back. I'm building a new life, and you don't belong in it." I folded the letter, tucked it into the wooden box with the Santa Barbara photo. Closing the box, I felt like I'd buried part of myself, but it wasn't loss, it was freedom. One early morning, Maggie called me over to her barn. "You gotta see this," she said, her voice bright with excitement. I walked across the field, dew clinging to my boots, and saw a newborn foal wobbling on spindly legs. Its mother, a chestnut mare, stood nearby, her eyes gentle but alert. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Maggie said, her smile deepening the lines on her face. I nodded, feeling a strange warmth rise, not joy but peace. The foal stumbled toward me, sniffing the air, and I laughed, the first time in months without a trace of bitterness. "This little guy needs a name," Maggie said. "Hope," I replied without thinking. Maggie raised an eyebrow but didn't press. I walked back to my house, standing on the porch, watching the wheat sway in the breeze. The sun was high now, its golden light stretching to the horizon. I thought of Claire, her apologies, the years we lost. But this time, I didn't feel pain. I felt like I was exactly where I belonged. Not because of Robert's money, not because I'd won or lost, but because I'd chosen to live for myself.
Subscribe to the channel to follow Caleb's journey of rediscovering himself and other heartfelt stories. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.